What's going on, Salt Strong Nation? Today I want to break down the two most common mistakes I see anglers make when they use weedless hooks with soft plastics. Now I'm going to go over these mistakes in this demonstration. I'm going to be using the Slam Shady Bomber. It's a 5-inch paddle tail you see right here, and the Slam Shady 2.0. It's a 3.5-inch paddle tail, as well as the Haas Helix hooks in both the 4-aught and the 3-aught. If you guys want to pick these up, these are pretty much my ideal weedless hooks, as well as the lures I'd use with them. I'll leave a link below. They're in the Salt Strong shop. But to break down the first mistake, it's pairing the plastic that you're using with the wrong hook. Now I know these are paddle tails, but this is also going to apply to soft plastic shrimp like the power prawn or jerk shads, whatever it may be that's plastic. You want to make sure you've got the right size hook for the plastic that you're using. If I was to use this 3-aught hook on this really big bomber right here, what's going to happen when I put this in is that hook is going to sit, and I'll show you guys how to rig it up in a second. It's going to sit a little bit far forward, as you guys can see. And that's really not ideal when I'm fishing for, say, trout, who oftentimes when they strike, they kick the tail up. What's going to happen is it's not only going to just block that hook point because it's so far up, there's a good chance it's going to taco, as I call it, that hook point right onto that front right over there. If you add a larger hook, the actual hook itself would stop the tacoing from occurring, better chance of hooking up with the fish. What I mean by that is if I take this hook right here and I put it onto the plastic, again, when you rig these up, you want to make sure that you put it straight in the center. That's the second mistake that I see people do, is they don't take the time to actually look at the very top of the bait and make sure that the screw that they're putting on goes straight into the center of the bait. Very important that that occurs right like that. You want to make sure that you line that paddle tail up with the gap. So you put this right in like so, and that bait should sit flush with the hook, just like that. You don't want to have any extra exposed hook that's sitting too high. That's going to make the paddle tail run wrong. You're also going to catch grass. But again, the fact that that hook is a little bit further back, that trout is not going to have as easy of a time trying to taco that bait. It's not going to go over the front of the hook. Now, with that smaller 3-aught, if I take this off right here, you'll see that there is a much higher chance of tacoing occurring. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back on. Again, you want to make sure that you get right in the center of the bait, even though this is the wrong hook. Get it down in there, line it up, and stick it right down that rib. And you want to make sure you get right through that center right there. So we do have it flush. You can see it's kind of stretched, trying to get it back as far as possible, but now you have a much easier opportunity to taco. That's there. There's no way you can set that hook into that fish's mouth when it strikes. So you want to make sure that you use the right gap hook for the plastic that you're using. Again, that's with the 5-inch. Now, if you were to use too big of a hook on, say, the smaller paddle tail, what's going to happen is, again, you're going to line it up right with the center of that paddle tail. Go ahead and screw that in just like so. Again, I really like these Haas Helix hooks. They're so easy to rig plastics on. But problem you run into here is you can see by using that 4-aught, I have to go all the way back into the skinny part of the tail to get the proper rigging. You want to make sure you come through the center of the back. I didn't do it there, so I'm going to come back through just like so. Yeah, and you can even see it's difficult to rig just even with that large gap hook. It's not completely straight on there. The tail's kind of kicked up a bunch. It's just not going to ride right, and it's going to kill the action of that tail. So you can see that just doesn't even look right. It's not going to look natural in the water. You're going to have much less probability of getting strikes from fish. Now, if I take this off and I put on that 3-aught, like so, again, right through the center of the hook, screw it all the way down to the eye. And we'll see that this now, you want to make sure that you go through that bottom slot. This now should come through the center of the back, and it should ride nice and flush. Perfect. That will roll straight through grass. You're not going to catch anything. If you want to skin hook it, you can. But that is a much more natural presentation for those fish. Much more likely that you're going to get some more action on that tail. It's going to grab the attention of predators a little bit better. It's going to look more natural. This is in fact my favorite lure to sight fish redfish with, and they're very picky in very clear water, so you need to make sure that that bait looks as natural as possible. If I was using that 4-aught, I would probably find myself in trouble with fish kind of being able to see that something's up with that bait. It's not moving naturally. The tail doesn't have as much action to it, might not catch the eye of those predators. So you want to make sure that you've got that hook paired properly with the plastic that you're using. Again, smaller paddle tails, I like that 3-aught, and the larger paddle tails, the 4-aught pairs much better. And again, make sure that you're getting it lined up with the very center of that bait. I'm gonna let it zoom in there. Right in the center, you dig it right in there and then screw the plastic on. Now if you're using the Z-Man baits, you need to actually do a pilot hole with the hook point, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. But again, just making sure you're right in the center, line it up with where it needs to be on the paddle tail with the rib, and then slightly bend that plastic just like so. It's going to run through the back, and you'll know that you did it right if you don't have any extra run on that paddle tail and it's just nice and flush against the back of the bait. Luckily, these bombers have a nice little rib in them, so that hook should sit straight in the center of the rib. The eye is completely center of the bait. That is good and ready to go. Now I want to show you guys how I would rig this on a Z-Man bait, because it is a little bit different. Just a little extra tip here. Those are the two big mistakes, but Z-Man baits are a little bit different because they're made of a different material. You need to make sure you know how to rig that up as well. So give me 1 second, I'll grab those and show you how to rig it. So now I've got the Z-Man bait here, and it's a little bit different than rigging up this type of plastic. This plastic, as you guys can see, doesn't have a whole lot of stretch to it. It's pretty dense. These ElaZtech baits, they're a little bit different. So you need to make sure that you, number one, create a pilot hole with the point of the hook by taking that point down, stabbing it into the head, maybe digging a little bit out with the hook point, and then you're going to take the actual spring, push it into that pilot hole you just created, and actually grab it with your fingers through the ElaZtech. And you're going to take the hook and twist it and spin it in. What that's going to do is dig it into the ElaZtech really good. Make sure you got a good hold of that spring in there. If I had just tried to screw the plastic onto that spring, it would never grab. So now you can see we've actually got it twisting over here. If I let this go, that hook point is now in there good and tight. If I pull, it actually sticks in there. And you can take that 3-aught, line it up with the back of the paddle tail, run it in through the back there. We come out, make sure we're centered up right in the fin. We've got ourselves a nice little weedless presentation right there on that ElaZtech. Now I'm going to show you guys what would happen. It's going to take me a second to get this off of here now because it's on there really good. But if you had just taken this screw and tried to do it like the other plastic, it would pull straight out. And I'll demonstrate that right now. So if I just take this and I try to screw the paddle tail onto there, you might get a false sense of security that you're in there, but the moment that you put any kind of pressure on there, it's going to pull out. So you need to make sure that when you put this in, you create the pilot hole number one with the hook point, and then you take that screw and hold it through the ElaZtech and actually turn the hook like so, and you'll actually feel it screwing into there. This ElaZtech is a little bit different, but you definitely can still put weedless presentations on here. I hear a lot of people say that they can't fish Z-Man baits weedless, and that's absolutely not the case. You just need to take these hooks, create the pilot hole, and rig them a little bit different, just like so. And you can see now, again, we've got a really good hold in there. So that's just a couple of tricks there with creating weedless presentations with different plastics, making sure that you've got the correct size hook for the plastic that you're fishing, and it's going to contribute to you guys catching a lot more fish because you've got a more natural looking presentation. You're pairing the right hook sizes with the right baits so that you have a better chance of hookups, and you'll find yourself catching a lot more fish. So again, all the stuff I've shown you guys in the video, we do have it in the Salt Strong shop, the weedless hooks, the paddle tails, all of it. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. We're more than happy to create some more tutorials on how to rig baits. These are very common questions we get from beginners as well as veteran fishermen as they adopt new strategies fishing around new types of structure. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know we're the #1 online fishing club out there because we guarantee we're gonna help you catch fish fast with our new smart fishing spot software. You're gonna save a lot of money on tackle, you're gonna catch more fish in less time, and you're going to make more fishing friends fast, or it's free. So thank you again so much for watching, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the Salt Strong Insider Club soon.